It begins with a story. A man is driving down a quiet highway at night. The road is empty, the stars are hidden behind clouds, and only the hum of his engine breaks the silence. He is tired, too tired. His eyes close for a split second, just long enough for everything to change. A blinding light. The screech of tires. Impact. In one version of reality, his car flips, and his life ends instantly. But in another version, his eyes snap open just in time. He swerves. The crash never happens. He breathes, shaken but alive. This strange divergence is the doorway into one of the most unsettling and mind-bending ideas in quantum physics, quantum immortality. The radical suggestion that, from your own perspective, you can never truly die. Quantum immortality stems from an interpretation of quantum mechanics called the many worlds interpretation. Proposed by Hugh Everett in 1957, it suggests that every quantum event doesn't collapse into one outcome, it branches into multiple realities. Imagine flipping a coin. In one universe, it lands heads. In another, tails. Both outcomes exist. Both are real. Now apply this not to coins, but to life and death events. If every possible outcome exists somewhere, then in the moment you might die, there is always another branch where you survive. From the perspective of the outside world, people will still see you die. But from your perspective, you will only ever continue in the reality where you lived. And so the question arises, do we ever truly die in our own experience? Or do we simply go on, endlessly surviving in timeline after timeline, carried by the current of infinite possibility? To understand this, we must revisit a haunting mystery of quantum physics, the observer effect. The famous double-slit experiment showed that particles behave differently when observed. Light and electrons act like waves of probability until someone looks, then they decide on one outcome. What does this mean? It suggests that consciousness itself plays a role in shaping reality. Your awareness is not just a passenger, it's part of the machinery of the universe. If reality branches at every quantum event, then your consciousness is always carried into the branch where you continue existing. Death, in this view, may only be something others observe, but never something you experience. Picture this. You're in a hospital bed, gravely ill. From the doctor's perspective, your heart may fail, your body may shut down, and you may die. But from your perspective, in that razor-thin moment, reality splits. In one timeline, you die. In another, a treatment works. A miraculous recovery occurs. A hidden strength in your body pulls you back. Your consciousness flows into that reality, and the story continues. This means that, subjectively, you may never encounter death at all. You only wake up, again and again, in worlds where survival continues. It's a haunting idea. For some, it offers hope, immortality. For others, it suggests something far stranger, a loneliness stretching across infinite timelines, where you can never escape existence itself. Strangely, echoes of this concept appear in myths and spiritual teachings across cultures. In Hinduism, there is the idea of the Atman, the soul that never dies, but simply takes on new forms. In Buddhism, death is an illusion in the endless cycle of rebirths. Even in Christianity, eternal life is promised as a mystery beyond physical death. Quantum immortality gives these spiritual whispers a scientific twist. Not reincarnation in the traditional sense, but a continuous survival through branching realities. Is this why near-death experiences often feel so vivid? Could it be that those who die in one branch simply awaken in another, carrying with them the memory of what it felt like to slip away? At first, the idea feels comforting. Who wouldn't want to survive every fatal accident, every sickness, every disaster? But the deeper you think, the stranger it becomes. Imagine watching everyone you love die around you, while you continue. Imagine surviving disasters that should have claimed your life, again and again. Imagine realizing, one day, that you cannot die. This is not the romantic immortality of myths. It is a survival that stretches into infinity, an endless continuation where death is always for someone else, but never for you. Philosopher Nick Bostrom once described this paradox. From the inside, you are always the one who survives. But what does survival mean when it never ends? Of course, many scientists remain skeptical. The many worlds interpretation itself is controversial. Some physicists believe it is elegant, others believe it is nonsense. And quantum immortality is even more disputed. Critics argue that consciousness may not simply jump to the survival branch, that death is real, final, and unavoidable. But here's the mystery: no one can disprove it from the first-person perspective. If it is true, you will never know death. If it is false, you won't be around to notice. It's a theory that hides itself inside the folds of reality, forever unprovable, forever haunting. Beyond science, quantum immortality raises spiritual questions. If you never truly die, what is the purpose of life? What meaning does suffering have if survival is infinite? Does immortality cheapen existence, or does it reveal that every moment is sacred because it never truly ends? Some believe this theory hints at the soul, that consciousness is not bound to the body, but to the flow of possibility itself. Others believe it is a warning that immortality without choice may be the ultimate prison. Perhaps this is why ancient traditions speak of liberation not just from death, but from the cycle of existence itself. Not survival at all costs, but transcendence beyond survival. Imagine waking up tomorrow. The day passes. You live, you breathe, you struggle, you laugh. One day, far in the future, you are old. You feel your body failing. But in that moment, another branch opens. You awaken again, alive, in a slightly different world. The cycle repeats, endlessly. From your perspective, the dream of life never ends. So the question is no longer do we die? The question is, do we ever stop waking up? Perhaps death, as we know it, is an illusion. Perhaps the universe is far stranger than we can imagine, carrying us endlessly through its infinite branches. Or perhaps, in the end, death is real, and what matters is not how many times we survive, but how we choose to live in the time we are given. Quantum immortality doesn't give us answers. It gives us a mirror, asking us to face the mystery of existence itself. So I ask you this: if you knew you could never truly die, how would you live? Would you fear less? Would you love more? Would you finally take the risks you've been too afraid to take? Maybe that is the hidden gift of this theory, not immortality itself, but the courage to live as if life cannot be taken from you. And perhaps, in that way, we become immortal, not in science, not in quantum physics, but in the legacy of how deeply we lived while we were here.